Hi, my name is Diane. I'm 25 years old and work in a regular office job. I'm just an average woman. My looks, my personality, and my abilities are all pretty normal. There's nothing especially unique about me, but I do have a bit of a strong personality. I'm not shy, and I can hold my own in a conversation. This is how I introduced myself at a mixer event I went to recently. The event was organized by some women from the department next to mine. It was meant to be a small get-together with men from a bigger company, kind of like a casual networking event. Originally, 3 women and 3 men were supposed to join, but someone backed out at the last minute. That's when they asked me to come along and fill in. I didn't really expect anything exciting to happen. I wasn't looking for love or a relationship that night. I also don't think of myself as super attractive, but I'm also not someone who brings down the mood. I can hold a decent conversation, and I get along well with people. So I thought, why not? At the very least, I'd enjoy a nice dinner. The mixer was held at a cozy restaurant. The place was relaxed and had a friendly atmosphere. Right from the beginning, I noticed that the other 2 women seemed very interested in 2 of the men there. These guys were slim, stylish, and looked like they could be K-pop stars. They were very popular at the table. That left 2 men who weren't getting as much attention. One was a quiet man with glasses and simple looks. The other was a big, muscular man sitting across from me. He had a strong, solid build, and even through his shirt, I could see how fit he was. He had a thick beard and sharp facial features. He looked exactly like the kind of man I'm usually drawn to. Honestly, I've always preferred strong, muscular guys over thin, pretty ones. If I had to describe my ideal type, it would be a rugby player. Not a prince riding a white horse, but someone strong enough to carry one. That's just the kind of man I like. Because of that, I usually don't compete with other women at mixers. My type is pretty different from theirs. I looked at the man across from me and smiled. You've got amazing muscles. Do you play any sports? I asked with interest. He smiled back. I played rugby back in college, and now I mostly focus on weight training. Bingo! That was exactly what I wanted to hear. I felt really happy sitting next to Jacob. Just like me, he wasn't too focused on socializing with everyone else at the mixer. He seemed more interested in enjoying the meal. The food looked and tasted amazing, and Jacob's calm way of eating really stood out. He didn't talk too much, but he gave off a peaceful and relaxed vibe, which I liked a lot. After a little while, he turned to me and said, Diane, right? Do you exercise too? I smiled. Yes, I do.
Can you tell?
Working out is one of my hobbies. I thought so, he replied with a cheerful smile. You look like someone who works out. Though maybe I didn't say that in the best way. He laughed a little. His smile made my heart flutter. It was warm, friendly, and exactly my type. From then on, we started talking a lot more. We chatted about working out, weight training, our favorite gym routines, and how we both like staying active. The others at the mixer seemed to talk in their own small groups, and Jacob and I felt a little separate from the rest. But I didn't mind that at all. I was enjoying myself. Before we left, we exchanged phone numbers and even made plans to go to the gym together. It felt like out of everyone at that mixer, we were the only 2 who truly connected. I learned that Jacob is 26 years old, just 1 year older than me. He's tall, about 5 feet, and weighs around 150 pounds. I'm 5 feet 6 inches and weigh about 100 pounds. Usually big, strong guys like Jacob tend to prefer women who are very small and delicate. But Jacob didn't seem that way at all. He truly enjoyed talking about fitness with me and seemed happy that we shared the same passion. After that night, we started seeing each other more often. Sometimes we went on training dates at the gym. Other times, we did normal date stuff like watching movies, going out to eat, or just walking around the city. We got closer, and little by little, we started having conversations like, when we get married, let's have gym equipment in our living room, and we'll need a big space for all our gear. It all felt natural and exciting. Eventually, I invited Jacob to my home to meet my parents. They really liked him. He was kind, polite, and cheerful. My parents could tell that he genuinely cared about me. Everything felt like it was moving in a good direction, like marriage could really happen someday. Next week, I'm going to visit Jacob's home for the first time. He told me that he lost his mother when he was young and was raised mostly by his older sister, Teresa, who is 6 years older than him. I was a little nervous because sometimes dealing with a sister-in-law can be tricky, but I also thought it might be easier than dealing with a strict mother-in-law. When I met Teresa, I was surprised. She was beautiful, stunning actually. She looked like she was in her mid-30s, and her warm welcome made me feel a bit more relaxed. I couldn't stop staring at Teresa. She looked like a more elegant version of Jacob. She was about the same height as me, but slimmer and didn't seem to have much muscle. Her long black hair was beautiful and stood out right away. Jacob's father was also there. He was well-built and had thick eyebrows, just like Jacob. They clearly looked like father and son. Teresa had cooked a homemade seafood pasta for us. It looked delicious, and she had put a lot of effort into it. But then a small problem came up. I'm allergic to shellfish like crab and shrimp. Even a small amount gives me hives, so I had to avoid eating most of the pasta because it was full of shrimp and crab. I felt a bit awkward. Teresa, I'm really sorry, but I'm allergic to crab and shrimp, I said politely. Even a little bit gives me a reaction. Huh? I thought I told you about her allergy, Jacob said to Teresa. Jacob and I had eaten together many times, so I assumed he remembered. I didn't hear anything about that, Teresa said. Sorry, Diane. It's okay, I replied. Jacob, could you eat the crab and shrimp from my plate? Of course, Jacob said with a smile, and moved the shellfish to his own plate. But I noticed that Teresa's expression became a little serious, even cold. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, though. I'll be more careful next time, I said, trying to ease the mood. Then Teresa added, but Diane, if you marry Jacob, he won't be able to eat crab or shrimp anymore. That comment made me feel a little bad. I thought to myself, well, I would never cook food that could make me or anyone else sick anyway. Teresa continued, it's really a shame. He loves them so much. I started to feel confused. Was she blaming me? Making me feel guilty? Jacob tried to help. He said, don't worry, Diane. I can eat crab and shrimp when I go out or come here to visit. But throughout the visit, Teresa kept saying things like, Jacob has always loved crab and shrimp since he was a child, and as long as I'm cooking, I'll always make it for him. Her words made me feel like I didn't belong. Then, when we were leaving, Teresa walked us to the door and said, even after you two are married, you're always welcome to come visit here. It sounded like she thought I was taking Jacob away from her. On the way home, I said, Jacob, it seems like your sister doesn't like me very much. And I didn't even know you loved crab and shrimp that much. Jacob smiled gently and replied, yeah, I do like them. But don't worry too much. My sister just cares a lot about what I eat. That's how she shows love. He explained that after their mom passed away, Teresa had taken care of him like a mother would. So she might be acting more like a mother-in-law than just a sister. By the way, Teresa has a boyfriend, and he's very handsome. Honestly, he looks like a movie star. A lot of women would fall for him in an instant. To be honest, I don't find Teresa's boyfriend Liam very attractive. He's 32 years old and owns a nightclub. Teresa met him back when she was still working. One of her coworkers took her to the club, and at the time, Liam was working there as the top bartender. His job was mostly to charm and entertain women, which helped bring in more money for the club. But in the end, Liam fell in love with Teresa. He decided to quit bartending and start his own business. Liam really loves Teresa. Even their father, who at first didn't like the idea of Liam being a bartender, has now accepted him because he's running his own business. Jacob told me that sometimes he even works out with Liam. Liam said he wants to build just a little bit of muscle to stay healthy. Sometimes the four of us, Teresa and Liam, Jacob and I, go out for dinner together. One time, we were eating fried shrimp, and I was about to squeeze some lemon and pour sauce on Jacob's plate. Suddenly, Teresa raised her voice and said, wait, Jacob likes ketchup on his fried food. But Jacob quickly said, it's okay. Diane suggested I try lemon and sauce, and it was actually really good. I still like ketchup and tartar sauce too, but these days I prefer lemon and sauce. Even though Jacob said that, Teresa didn't look happy. Her face turned serious. Things like this happened often, not just during meals, but in other situations too. For example, Jacob started watching foreign dramas because I like them. He also slowly changed his clothing style after we started dating. Every time something like that happened, Teresa seemed a little unhappy or annoyed. There were also some strange things going on. Whenever I ate at Jacob's house, I would sometimes get hives again, like an allergic reaction. There wasn't any crab or shrimp on the table, but I started to wonder if maybe some sauces or seasonings had tiny amounts of shellfish in them that I couldn't see. So, I tried to help with cooking at Jacob's house, hoping I could check the ingredients. But Teresa said no. She firmly told me, if that's the case, why don't you help with the dishes instead? So I ended up just washing dishes and never got a chance to check what was being used in the food. One day, I finally brought it up. I said, I got hives again after eating here last time. Teresa just replied, that's strange. We didn't use crab or shrimp. Diane, is it possible that you have other allergies? It felt like she was trying to suggest that the problem wasn't her cooking but something else, maybe even something wrong with me. I couldn't tell if she was being honest or just trying to avoid blame. Teresa made me feel like I was the problem. She said, if you're allergic to so many things, it's going to be hard for you to cook for Jacob. I'm worried about him. It was clear that she cared more about Jacob than about me. She didn't seem to have any real concern for my health or feelings. For the record, I don't have other allergies. I had a full allergy test done before, and shellfish is the only thing I react to. I explained this to Teresa, but she still didn't believe me. That's when I started to understand. It wasn't just that she didn't like me. It seemed like she didn't want Jacob to grow apart from her. But the truth is, Teresa is 34 years old. It's not really healthy for her to be so attached to her younger brother. She's in love with her boyfriend Liam, so maybe I could get his help to improve things. I asked Jacob one day, aren't Teresa and Liam planning to get married? Maybe they should move forward. Jacob sighed and said, I've asked her about it many times. But she always says she can't think about marriage until I'm settled and married first. It seemed like Teresa was even putting off her own marriage just because of Jacob. That surprised me. Then something strange happened. One day, Teresa and Liam invited us over for dinner. It was supposed to be a nice evening. We were all sitting down when Jacob said he needed to use the bathroom. Right after that, Teresa also stood up and said she needed to step outside for a moment. A few minutes later, Jacob came back, but he was helping Teresa walk. She was holding a handkerchief to her mouth and looked like she was in pain. Liam quickly got up and asked, Are you okay? I can take you home. But Teresa said, It's fine. We already ordered food, so you two enjoy. I'm going home with Jacob. And just like that, the two of them left. That left Liam and me at the table. The mood was a little awkward, but since it was a fancy French meal, we decided to stay and enjoy it. After a while, Liam looked at me and said, Diane, you're really unique. Very smart and lovely. It sounded like a compliment, but Liam used to charm women as a bartender, so I didn't think much of it at first. Then, out of nowhere, he gently took my hand and whispered, Hey, how about we have some fun together? What? I was shocked. His girlfriend had just left feeling sick, and here he was flirting with me? I couldn't believe it. I thought he was supposed to be in love with Teresa. I calmly pulled my hand back and said, Please stop joking. Teresa would be really hurt if she heard this. But Liam just smiled and said, She won't be upset. I looked straight at him and said, I'm not interested in handsome guys like you. I wanted to make it very clear that I was not okay with what he said. He just laughed and replied, You're an interesting woman, Diane. Like he wasn't even embarrassed. Then he offered to drive me home, but I refused. I rushed to the train station while calling Jacob. I felt a strong urge to see him right away. When he answered, he asked, Why did you call me here? What's going on? I met him at a small shop near the station where we could talk in private. I'm sorry, I said first. Then, even though I wasn't really that worried, I asked, How's your sister doing? Jacob replied, She was fine as soon as we got home. She was making a big deal out of nothing, really. It's a shame we couldn't enjoy that fancy French meal. Then I told him something shocking. After you left, Liam made a move on me. Jacob's face changed right away. He usually looked calm, but now he looked serious and shocked.
What? Why?
He's supposed to be with my sister, Jacob said, clearly upset and confused. I know. That's why I told him Teresa would be sad if she found out. But Liam just said she wouldn't care. What does that even mean? I asked. That's really bad, Jacob said, thinking deeply. Then he told me something surprising. He explained that every time he introduced a girlfriend to Teresa, the relationship ended soon after. The reason was always the same. The girl would say she met someone else. Jacob continued. Once, I even saw one of my ex-girlfriends being really friendly with a man who looked like Liam. It was from a distance and he was wearing sunglasses, so I wasn't sure if it was him, but now I think it really might have been. I was shocked. Could Teresa have been working with Liam to make sure Jacob's relationships failed? That was too serious to ignore. Normally, I wouldn't say something like this, but I felt I had to be honest with Jacob. I told him about the times I got hives after eating food made by Teresa. I reminded him that I only have one allergy, shellfish, and nothing else. I understand that your sister wants to stay close to you, I said gently, but this isn't healthy for anyone. We can't be happy like this, and it's not good for her either. Jacob looked down and said, You're right.
I'm so sorry, Diane.
I never thought it would go this far. I didn't know my sister could do something like that. He looked deeply troubled. But this wasn't just a problem for him. It was serious for me, too. If you're going to choose your sister over me, Jacob, I said firmly, then I can't keep dating you. I had made up my mind. Jacob looked at me, clearly understanding how serious I was. And then, he answered with determination. I choose you, Diane, Jacob said firmly. We'll face my sister's problems together. Once we move out, she won't be able to interfere anymore. Then, with a soft smile, he added, and I'm really glad you're not into handsome guys. Maybe it wasn't all my fault that I got dumped before. I couldn't help but laugh a little. I felt sorry for him, but it also brought us closer. From that moment on, our bond grew even stronger, and we started planning our future together. We were now moving toward marriage. After that day, I stopped going to Jacob's house. I kept my distance, and that helped keep Teresa out of our relationship. Wedding planning was going well, though I couldn't help feeling a little nervous. I had read some stories online about weddings going wrong, things like unexpected problems at the ceremony or reception. I wanted to be prepared just in case. During a meeting with our wedding planner, I asked, Do wedding problems happen often? The planner noticed I was worried and kindly asked, Is there something specific you're concerned about? I felt comforted and talked to her about my concerns, hoping everything would go smoothly. On the day of the wedding, I entered the dressing room, feeling both nervous and excited. But what I saw shocked me to the core. Teresa was inside, angrily cutting up my wedding dress with a large knife. Around her feet were my accessories, all crushed and broken. I had expected she might try something small, like spilling water or coffee on the dress, but this was beyond anything I imagined. It's ruined now. What a shame, Teresa said with a strange smile on her face. But I stayed calm and replied, It's all rentals anyway. Most people don't buy their wedding dresses. They're too expensive. Her smile faded.
What?
But you can't have a wedding without a dress, I said calmly. I have a backup dress just in case. I liked the first one better, but I'll wear the other one. Just then, someone knocked on the door. It was Jacob. He walked in and froze when he saw the mess. Teresa, why would you do this? He said, shocked. The wedding planner beside me spoke up. All of these dresses and accessories belong to the venue. Should we report the damage to the police? Jacob looked at his sister and said, We'll cover the cost, but I don't want a criminal in the family on our wedding day. When Jacob said criminal, Teresa finally realized what she had done. She screamed, Criminal? What are you saying? I'm just against this marriage. Too bad, I said calmly. We're already legally married. We're a couple now. Even if we cancel the ceremony, it doesn't change anything. Teresa stared at me in disbelief, then dropped to the floor, whispering, No, it can't be. That's a lie. Jacob stepped forward and said gently but firmly, "Please stop, Teresa." "I don't want to hate you," Jacob said gently. As soon as he said that, Teresa broke down and cried like a child. She kept calling his name. "Jacob, Jacob." I quietly asked Jacob to take her out of the dressing room. Once they were gone, I quickly fixed my makeup and changed into my backup wedding dress. By then, my family and Jacob's father had arrived at the wedding venue. Surprisingly, Liam also showed up. When he saw what had happened, he said, "I can't believe she actually did it." Hearing that made me wish he had stopped her if he saw this coming. But maybe he didn't stop her because he was part of the problem too. Or maybe he just didn't want to get involved. I left Teresa in Liam's care. She was crying too much to speak. Jacob and I then explained everything to our parents. Although everyone was a little shocked, we stayed calm, and that helped calm everyone else, too. "We've come this far. Let's just finish the wedding and the reception peacefully," we said. During the ceremony, Teresa kept crying. At the reception, she held a handkerchief to her face the whole time. People who didn't know the truth just thought she was feeling emotional about her younger brother getting married. They gave her kind looks, not knowing what had really happened. Somehow, we made it through the day. That night, we stayed in a hotel downtown. The next day, we flew to United Kingdom for our honeymoon, a week-long food tour full of amazing meals and time to relax. I thought back to what Jacob had said to Teresa. "I don't want to dislike you any more than I already do." Those words probably hurt her the most. That, more than anything else, was the real punishment. 1 month later, Liam came to visit us at our new home. Being the charming person he is, he brought a huge bouquet of flowers as a gift. Since the wedding, Jacob hadn't returned to his parents' house, so he hadn't seen Teresa. She still called him sometimes, but Jacob didn't answer. Even so, I could tell he's still worried about her. One day, he asked Liam how she was doing. Liam gave an answer we didn't expect. "Actually, I'm thinking about breaking up with her." Jacob looked surprised.
What?
"Why?" Liam replied, "After that day, she changed. She's not the same person anymore. I used to love how hard she worked for your happiness, but now I'm not sure." Even though Liam sounded unsure, I thought it might be better if he stayed with her. Without him, who knows what Teresa might do? I half-jokingly suggested, "Maybe you should marry her and have a baby. If she has a son who looks like Jacob, maybe she'll feel happy again." Honestly, I know I can be a bit calculating. But I just want to protect the peaceful life Jacob and I have now, especially since I'm pregnant. I can't stop worrying about what would happen if our baby boy looked just like Jacob. To my surprise, Liam seemed excited by the idea. "I see. I hadn't thought about marriage before, but I'll think about it." "Thanks," he said with a big smile. And just 1 month later, they got legally married. Liam, the former bartender, made his decision fast. His quick action shocked us all. Later, our baby was born, a boy who looks just like Jacob. I felt relieved knowing that Teresa wouldn't be interested in my husband, Jacob. And even though I wasn't really into kids before, I now understand how special and adorable your own child can be. Because of this, I started to understand a little why Jacob's sister was so attached to him. One day, Jacob looked at me and said, "Diane, please don't become like my sister." His face looked a bit sad and complicated when he said that. As for Liam and Teresa, they had a baby just as they had planned. Teresa got pregnant easily and gave birth without any problems. We all thought they might have a boy who looked like Jacob, but instead, they had a beautiful baby girl. She was like a little jewel, so cute and precious. Surprisingly, it wasn't Teresa, but Liam who became completely obsessed with their daughter. He would send us lots of cute baby pictures, even though we never asked for them. She recently turned 1, and she's even more adorable now. Our son, who is now 3 years old, is full of energy and can be quite a handful. But even his little monster moments make him even more lovable. Liam always jokes that he'll scare off any boy who dares to date his daughter in the future. He and Teresa both seem to be the overprotective type. I've heard they argue often about how to raise their daughter, but honestly, That's their business, not mine. They only ever send us pictures of their daughter, never photos of the whole family. I find that a little strange, but again, it's not my concern. Right now, I have more important things to focus on. I'm expecting again this time, twins. They're due in 1 month, and they're already super active in my belly. They keep me tired, and I need all my energy just to keep up with them and our toddler. I really don't have the time or space in my mind to worry about anyone else's problems. In our big living room, we have a workout machine. It was supposed to help me get back in shape after giving birth, but now it's mostly used for hanging laundry. Meanwhile, Jacob still uses it properly to stay fit. I've realized that staying strong and healthy is important, not just for myself, but to keep up with our growing family. If we have more kids, we might need to move the machine out and just join a gym. I joked once. Jacob laughed and said, "Even without weights, we won't run out of heavy lifting," as he did squats with our son on his back. Watching him like that, I was reminded again of why I love him so much. And I believe I won't ever become like his sister. I hope that one day, when our children grow up, they'll also find loving partners and build happy lives, just like the one I'm lucky to have now.